The Buccaneers are now on the clock. The Panthers are now on the clock. The Vikings are now on the clock. Vikings just made their pick. Adam, what can you tell us about him?
One of the more underrated aspects of the Combine are the player interviews. I spoke with a handful of NFL scouts and GMs to get a feel for who stood out for better or worse, and his name came up almost every time. One GM even put a grade on the interview, giving him a solid A+. The number one thing I heard about him was how well spoken he was and how he showed his football intelligence on every answer. Some teams even had him use the board to chart some plays, and he did so flawlessly. A lot of GMs would love to have a locker room full of guys like him, so it's no wonder he was just drafted. Now we just need to see if he can really play or if his charisma and intelligence got him farther than it should have.
Adam, what can you tell us about that last pick?
Matt Miller told me to look at a certain stat in regards to this defensive back, and that's average number of targets in a game. Not surprisingly, you see that number start to fall each week. He was a master of the bait and switch early in the year, on track to break records midway through the season. Eventually, quarterbacks gave up altogether trying to throw the ball in his direction, essentially taking away a receiver on every play. There's going to be an adjustment period now that he's in the NFL, but he certainly has the potential to be a shutdown defender for this team in the future.
The Dolphins are now on the clock. The Rams are now on the clock. Rams have just made their pick. Adam, what can you tell us about him?
He was the leader of an offensive line that almost broke a record for allowing the least amount of sacks in a season. Most college quarterbacks get sacked several times every game, but he was able to keep his quarterback from going down just about 6 times the whole season. Those are incredible numbers, and you have to respect not only his ability, but also his leadership to maintain that consistency across the entire line. The quarterback has to love this pick, and we should see him injected into the starting line almost immediately.
The Vikings are now on the clock. All right, let's go to Adam Schefter, who's got more on this pick.
If you read Matt Miller's weekly draft stock report, you've seen this kid's name mentioned almost every week. He started the season relatively quiet, but each game he showed more and more of what scouts love to see. No doubt about it, this kid plays with heart and he plays tough. Watching him on the field, you can clearly see him go 100% and never waver. And on the sidelines, he looks like a natural leader, firing up his teammates or keeping them composed when necessary. I can see why scouts like Matt Miller have fallen in love with him. The coach and players have to be excited to have him on the team now.
The Panthers' pick is in. Adam, did Cam Newton get some help?
He's a gifted tight end who had scouts buzzing to begin the season. Just as the hype surrounding him was hitting an all-time high, he was plagued by a series of critical fumbles, leaving draft experts wondering what went wrong. Sources tell me that after the season ended, he began working with a sports psychologist to help curb the fumbling issues. He performed well at both his pro day and at the combine, but has yet to demonstrate his grip on the ball after contact. Clearly, this is a team that feels the fumbling issues are behind him and are confident his upside far outweighs any of the potential risk.
The Vikings are now on the clock. Our very own Adam Schefter has more to say about this pick.
This kid is an explosive defensive talent. Sadly for fans of college football, his career came to an abrupt end after he suffered a grade 3 groin tear while while attempting to make a tackle. After surgery, weeks of intensive platelet-rich plasma therapy, and months of strength training of the affected area, he looked like his old self when he took the field for his pro day. Some scouts in attendance even felt as though he looked stronger and faster than before the injury. I'd expect him to get reps with the first-team defense come training camp, and don't be surprised to see him starting in Week 1.
The Bills are now on the clock. The Panthers are now on the clock. The Vikings are now on the clock.